Welcome to the Maureen Pound Show, where we get extraordinary insights from cool business people. And today we're talking to one of the coolest, Emily Jacks from HR Gurus and Generation Us. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Very excited to be here and can't wait to chat with you.
Excellent. So today we're going to be talking all things millennials and how to attract and then retain them in your business. So firstly, let's start at the very beginning. What exactly are millennials?
So millennials are anyone aged between 25 and 40. So they're born around 1981 to 1996. So I had to check that because I've just make sure that I get it right. So a lot of people are very confused about who millennials really are, and we use the term Gen Y to describe them as well. Yeah. And so, I'm sorry. So yeah, they're getting older. So they're not the young people who are living at home with their parents anymore. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're going to be talking about what they value around their careers and work, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about what really is important to them. Hope you're okay. Before we jump in, so people can get to know you a little bit more, Emily, and obviously they can go to your website Generation Us or HR Gurus, but tell us a little bit about something about you that maybe we might not know about you.
Oh, okay. Something you don't know about me. Well, I've got a broken knee at the moment, but it's not very exciting for me. Might be exciting for other people. Because I'm an avid mountain biker who's just got a taste of their own medicine, shall we say. But in regards to my interest around millennials, I've been researching millennials for a number of years now, and my background is HR and leadership. So the reason I got interested in millennials and studying this generation is because all of my clients were having issues attracting and retaining millennials in their business. So millennials are now the biggest generation on record, and they make up the largest proportion of our workforce. So this is a very real challenge for business owners, is how to attract and retain millennials, because they are there's lots of them and you need them in your business if you're going to be successful. And I think that there's a lot of oh my God, my phone, hang on.
What I'm going to be asking Emily about is the qualities that they have, because often it's like, oh yeah, they're the biggest, generation now, so we're going to need them, we have to hire them. But rather than have a sort of a negative outlook, especially the baby boomers and the X's out there, what sort of positive things do millennials bring to the workplace, Emily?
Oh, wow. Well, there's a topic that I could talk about all day long. So I, through my research, have found that millennials are, in fact, the complete opposite of what we think they are and what the media portrays them to be. The media portrays them to be useless employees. They don't want to stay in jobs for very long. They're bad with money. All of these really negative kind of perceptions, but my research shows the opposite. Millennials are looking for stability, not variety. So most of them are grown up now. They are mums and dads. So 30% of millennials are now parents, according to my research. 48% of them own homes. So they're at a very different life stage than perhaps what we think they are. And therefore, what they're looking for from an employer is security. They are really focused on their careers and progressing their careers. And my research showed that they've actually stayed in jobs for around 3 to 5 years, which is different to what people think. Like, people think that they change jobs every year. So they're very loyal employees. In terms of characteristics, they are extremely innovative. I think they're disruptors and they're change makers, so they think differently. And as consumers, they're very different too. So if you don't have millennials working in your business, helping you design products and services, then it's likely you're hitting the mark. So they're really important and really valuable.
Excellent. So, so it sounds like having them in the business, it supports you to meet the needs of your customers.
Absolutely. So if you think of all of the big kind of industries or businesses that have made significant changes in the last 10 years, they've all been created by millennials. So if you think about Airbnb, you think about Uber. Uber has completely transformed and disrupted the taxi industry. And these are all products and services that were developed by millennials for millennials, but now everybody's using Uber. I remember when it first came out, my husband's like, "What's this shit?" He's so skeptical, like, this is dumb. Like, why would anyone do that? Just get into some rando's car. And then lo and behold, now my husband loves Uber and he uses Uber every single day. So it's like millennials are the early adopters. They create these products and services for their own kind, and then they create these massive shifts and disrupt industries. If you think about Airbnb and the way that we now go and stay in other people's houses, like, if you had have told that to people 10 years ago, they would have laughed in your face. But millennials have come up with that idea, and now it's completely normal. It's a normal thing for you to go to a city and live in somebody else's house for a couple of days. And I think it's fantastic. But the hospitality industry and the hotel industry did not think it was fantastic at all. So I think it's really important to have millennials in your business, coming up with ideas, innovating, bringing their way of thinking to the table is going to propel your organization forward. And you need to be willing to listen as well, because that's one of the other problems, is that a lot of business owners or senior executives are the grey-haired army, and they don't want to listen to these young bucks and their ideas. But if you don't listen, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. And so how do they get along with the grey-haired army, the baby boomers and the X's? Because I'm presuming that it'd be good in a workforce to have a mix across the board.
Absolutely. I think that millennials are pretty adaptable, and they don't see, they've been raised in an environment where they don't see age as a barrier. They don't look at someone who's a bit older than them and think that they're an old fuddy-duddy. They don't think like that. Like, they don't see the differences, whereas Gen X and baby boomers definitely see the difference, and they like putting people into categories and maybe being a little bit more judgmental around those things. So from my experience, millennials are really good at tapping into the older generation's knowledge, and they understand that they need that. I did some research into Airbnb, and I read all of this stuff about what they're currently doing, and they have a lot of people from the hotel industry working for them, and a lot of those people are older people. So they understand that they need to tap into the knowledge and experience of these people who've been around for years and years and years if they're going to be the best. So I think millennials are really good at understanding the need to have people from all different generations, and they're definitely more into it than the other way around.
Yeah, good to know. And so just say I'm a business owner and I say, yep, I think I need, some millennials on my team, or I've got millennials already, but I want to make it a better environment. I want them to stay as long as possible. What are some practical things that I could implement that would make my teams cohesive and get the best out of the millennials and make them stay?
Really good question. So the most important thing for millennials is work-life balance. They really want to have flexibility, and we just had 12 months of the biggest remote working experiment ever, and all of the jobs that we thought could only be done in the office we've now been proved completely wrong. And what I'm seeing at the moment is a lot of businesses are saying, okay, we've now, ridden this wave of COVID, and now it's back time for everyone to come back into the office. And they want everybody to just come back into the office. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They've had a taste of all of the perks associated with working from home, including being with their family more, not having to commute, not having to sit on a train or in a car for 2 hours or 3 hours a day. So if you have a business and you're not offering flexibility, maybe a hybrid model, then you are going to be losing really good people, because that's what people want. That's what millennials really want. They want flexibility. They want the ability to be able to work from home and work remotely. They do not want to be micromanaged. They do not want to have Big Brother sitting, looking over their shoulder all day at the office. They don't want to have to do the traditional 9 to 5 kind of death march. That's done and dusted. They want to work in a nice environment. So aesthetically pleasing workplaces are really important to them. So a lot of our clients have done away with their own office, and they now have a what's it called? My brain's not working. Like a shared office space.
Yeah.
We did that with my business over COVID. We worked from home for 8 months. We were paying about 35, 40 grand for an office. And we were like, what? Why are we doing this? What a waste of money. So now we have a membership with Creative Cubes, which is this beautiful office space. They've got locations all over Melbourne, so that's a good plug for them. And we couldn't afford to have an office that looks like that. But now when we do go into the office, we get to go somewhere really cool and funky, and they've got a coffee shop. And on Friday nights, they have Friday night drinks, and it's really cool, and there's events there. So I think a lot of businesses are becoming a bit more savvy around that kind of stuff, but that kind of stuff is what millennials want. But flexibility in working hours is far more important than office perks, like having a foosball table or some random shit like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're quite self-motivated, but just like to be trusted and to be able to be a bit flexible if they need to, fix up something in the morning and start work at 12 or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for autonomy. My latest research that I have done into the millennial mindset, so I did a study in 2019, and I've just finished another study where I did some surveys, but I also interviewed 50 millennial entrepreneurs. And that research was really, really fascinating, because I think the biggest challenge for businesses is how to retain millennials when they have a really entrepreneurial mindset. So my latest research shows that they are definitely more entrepreneurial than other generations. And so entrepreneurial spirit is all about innovation, creativity, challenge. And if you're not giving that to them in their job, then they're going to start their own business. That's the other thing that businesses are going to be dealing with. So my latest research shows that 34% of millennials are running their own business. And we live in a world where that's completely possible. Anyone can start a business. So you're now competing with that job market as well. And a lot of the millennials that I surveyed actually had their own side hustle. So they're working in their 9 to 5, but they've got a side hustle on that they're working on. So that's
and
going
just on that, because it's a really pertinent point for us, because we've now got 70 VAs in the Philippines, and I happen to know that some of them on our team are quite innovative. All of them are millennials, or most of them, and they do have side hustles. And I think I'm at peace with it. I think it's great because it actually adds value for us. So do you agree with that? Because I think people have a fear that if someone has a side hustle or wants to follow their, another passion of theirs, that it's a bad thing. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely, I agree. I think it's fantastic. If you've got people that are that motivated and inspired to have something on the side where they can make additional money, I think it just shows how awesome they are, and they're the kind of people that you want in your business, people who have that commercial mindset and commercial acumen, who are thinking like a business owner, because I think people who have their own side hustle are dabbling in that space. So what a great mindset. You want more of that.
Yeah. So what's coming across for me from what you're sharing is to really be open-minded and, get rid of the old labels and see opportunity with millennials.
Absolutely. They are definitely the types of employees that you want on your team. I think that they've got a fantastic entrepreneurial mindset that is a great asset if you have a business. You just need to know how to engage it and spark it and nurture it rather than quash it, because I think that's what a lot of businesses do, right? It's like when people have ideas or they want to change things or they want to be innovative, they get squashed by the bureaucracy or the people who are like, oh, that's not going to work, or oh, we've tried that before and it didn't work. So it's really about embracing that mindset in your business.
Awesome. And so how do you, because I'm all for practical, so it's all right to go, yeah, they're innovative, that's great, but what are some really practical ways to engage them and to, give them opportunities to be themselves in the business and add value in your business?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. My dogs have just decided to come in. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Go away. No. Sorry. So I feel like millennials, they want to coach. So they want to be coached and developed in their environment. That is more important to them than money a lot of the time. They want to feel like they're progressing. They can be quite impatient for results, this whole instant gratification, if you think about the world that we live in now. So investing in coaching your leadership teams or your millennials is going to make them feel valued, and it's going to give them the practical skills that they need to be the best that they can be. And for millennials, it's all around purpose and values. So if you can practically link why your business exists and your values with what they're doing, then they're going to be inspired and engaged and excited. And that is something that is going to hook them in. So if it's all about alignment, and millennials will leave a job if they don't feel that they're aligned from a values perspective. So, it'd be like a vegan working for a abattoir or something, like, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it just doesn't gel.
No.
And so you're running a purpose-led leadership program. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So through my research, what I noticed was that a lot of leadership programs they focus on developing kind of these core leadership skills that they don't really stick, and it was not really tailored to the individual. And I believe that every leader has their own authentic leadership style that you need to help them uncover and tap into. So it's around them working out, what's my purpose? What are my values? What are my strengths? And then how do I use those to guide the type of leader that I am? So the program is very, very much centered on the individual leaders, and you get coaching along the way, because I think that we all know that if you go to a course on leadership, you don't magically walk out the next day and be, oh, I'm an awesome leader now. Yay. It takes time, experience, it takes making mistakes, and it takes reflection. I mean, you've taught me that. I did your coaching course, which was amazing. So having that support that is very much tailored to the individual, I think, is what's missing from a lot of leadership programs, and that's what millennials are into. So that's why I designed the program, and it's had enormous success. So we've got a program that we do with organizations. So we might do the whole leadership team, and we have a combination of the coaching and then group sessions. And those group sessions around emerging leader skills. So it might be how to recruit, how to manage poor performance, how to give people feedback, whatever it might be. And then we have an individual program. So if there's a millennial out there, or anyone really who's feeling a bit lost and feels like they're stuck and they don't really know where they want to go, the program can help you tap into your purpose and then give you a roadmap on how you can move towards that.
Okay, sounds awesome. What are your thoughts on millennials being leaders at any age? I think, because I've spoken to some millennials, and they still think that although they, they're open to opportunities, etc., a lot of them still see this traditional stepping stone approach to getting a leadership role. Like, some of them still feel like they have to do their time. What are your thoughts around young leaders and the path to leadership for millennials?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think a lot of millennials want to fast track their trajectory to the leadership role, sometimes without having the experience or the knowledge. But they do have a unique challenge in that because there's so many millennials in the workforce now, and a lot of the positions of leadership are around digital intelligence rather than IQ, for instance. So we've got a lot of young people in really senior roles that have no experience, who are managing people who are older than them. So I think millennials have a unique challenge there because they're the first generation to be doing that en masse. Like, it used to be a bit of an anomaly if you were a young leader managing people who are older than you, but now it's kind of like the norm. I feel like a lot of young millennials in leadership roles probably have imposter syndrome, which I think is what you're talking about. Like, they feel like, oh, I'm a bit young to be doing this. But I think that that's a construct of society and the internal machinations of business, in that we have this kind of old school mentality in Australia that you have to, you get promoted based on your seniority or your length of service or your age rather than your capability. Because my belief is that if you have the right attitude and the capability and the competence to be a leader, then that should trump someone who's been there the longest. I think that's a stupid way of promoting people.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you think that older people react to millennials being their leader?
Yeah, it depends on their mindset, right? So I've worked with, so I do coaching for leadership teams on how to manage millennials. So maybe some older leadership teams that are struggling to manage younger millennials. And then I do coaching programs like in businesses for millennials on how to do the same. And it's really about understanding how to motivate that person, because everyone's different. It's about building trust and building a relationship with that person and tapping into their strengths and making them feel heard and understood and making them feel valued. So if a millennial leader can do that, I feel like it doesn't really matter how old the person they're managing is, they're going to be winning. But if they don't do that, it's going to be difficult. I have had experience where older people have really struggled working for millennial leaders. Like, they just find it extremely difficult, and it's their shit a lot of the time that they're carrying around. It's an ego thing for them.
Yeah.
Because
so it's still that thing creeping in that older is necessarily wiser, when often it's not the case.
Yeah, I think everybody's got something to bring to the table. Doesn't matter how old you are, what color you are, what sex you are. It's about acceptance. But I feel like some older people, not all, you would definitely not fall into this category, Maureen, because you've got like one of the most inspiring mindsets of anyone that I've ever met. But some older people are really struggling with this transfer of power that's happening right now on every level. So, the world is changing, and it's changing so fast that some people they're just not ready. and they're kind of stuck. And it's really funny because everybody, being a millennials expert, and I get asked to speak about millennials all the time, everyone would always ask me, so what's going to happen to millennials when we have, some kind of economic downturn or a disaster? And the last 12 months has been a really interesting experiment on all levels, but watching millennials and seeing how they've dealt with it, I've just been so inspired and impressed. They have, if they're business owners, they've pivoted. If they're employees, they've pivoted. Like they've just handled it so beautifully. I could not be more proud of the way that millennials have handled COVID-19, which is a pretty serious thing for anyone to go through. So good on them. And they've proved everyone wrong. So kind of up yours.
And I totally agree. I think it's, although very negative, there's going to be some greatness that's come out of COVID. And one thing you mentioned earlier around the flexible workplace, I feel like now, because we were forced to do it, people will actually realise that it can work.
Absolutely. It's really interesting because what I'm noticing is the only clients and industries that want everyone to go back into the office are the really kind of old school traditional type industries, such as accounting and law firms.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We don't want to bag any accountants or lawyers out there. But yeah, definitely flexibility. So Emily, you are an absolute gun. I love the way that you say it as it is, that you continually do research for yourself around millennials instead of just grabbing stuff that's already out there. So I know that your stuff is groundbreaking, it's up to date. I love the way that you incorporate coaching and training to give a holistic approach to supporting people ongoing. So if people would like to use your support, either millennials, emerging leaders, or businesses or organisations that really want support with their with their current leadership, what's the best way to be in contact with you?
They can just shoot me an email. My email's up there on the screen, emily@hrgurus.com.au. If you want to follow my research and what I do, you could follow me on Instagram. So it's Emily Jacks Official. It's JAKSCH. Yep, that's a hard one to spell. A lot of people get that wrong. Or you could visit my website. So generationus.com.au.
Excellent. And so what are your parting words for us today around the future of millennials in the workplace?
So my parting words are that the millennial mindset is unique. It can't be taught. You need it in your organizations. You need to foster and nurture it, and bring it to the table or miss out.
Yes, because you really want to get into the game rather than sitting on the sidelines.
Absolutely. And like, I interview millennials. I have a podcast called Purposeled, and every single day every single interview, I learn something new. I learn something from these people. So like, the transfers of knowledge goes both ways. We have a lot to learn from millennials. I'm a Gen X. So if you think that you're better than or older than and therefore wiser than, then wake up. Wake up, mate.
Excellent. So I highly recommend you getting in contact with Emily. She knows her stuff. She's really practical and can pivot, within your organisational business to support you, to support millennials. Because if you are not supporting your millennials, then you're definitely missing out. They are amazing people, an amazing generation, and we need to embrace them. So thank you, Emily. It was lovely to have you on the show today. And we look forward to following all your greatness to come.
Oh, thank you so much, Maureen. Always a pleasure, and you're doing great things, and congratulations.
Excellent. Thanks, Emily. Bye. So if you'd like to see more interviews with amazing business owners sharing extraordinary insights, click subscribe, then click the bell button, then click all, and we'll notify you.